All right. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. This is August 2023 Work Camping Q&A session. I'm Jody Anderson Duquette with Workamper News. And Workamper News, if you're not familiar, we're the original resource for work camping. We created the term back in 1987 and kind of started organizing the community. So we've been around the longest. Maybe you've seen our magazine floating around. We published a magazine up until the end of 2022. So now everything is online at workamper.com. That's our online home. But myself, I've been with Workamper News for about 17 years now. It's my husband and I that own and operate Workamper News, along with a couple other gals here in our office. So we are a small business located in Arkansas, and we're passionate about helping work campers and employers, make the best matches and find the most success at this lifestyle. So that's what we're all about. And my husband and myself, we're RVers as well. We've been full-time RVers, part-time RVers. We're on our third RV now, so we understand living the lifestyle and the challenges and the excitement that comes along with all of that. But if you haven't yet, please check out our website, workamper.com. There's a wealth of information available online. We have a lot of free information, as well as we're a membership organization with yearly memberships. I'll talk a little bit about it. I promise this isn't just going to be a commercial for Workamper News. A lot of the tools that we have and stuff I'll mention as we're answering some of these questions, but I'm really going to give you guys a lot of good information today. And from our FAQs and our online videos and our articles and our podcasts and our magazine and our blog, we try to get as much information as we can out to you guys. So we know, it's always easier to do things when we feel confident and feel like we know what we're doing. And so we want you guys to have that confidence transitioning into this lifestyle and living this lifestyle. So hopefully you have more success at it than, negative situations. So, all right, that's my little intro spiel here. Let's go ahead and dive into some questions. So multiple people asked this time around, how do I get started? What is the best way to get started? How do I find work? Where do I post a resume? What do I do? Firstly, you need to figure out what it is that you want with this lifestyle. If you are traveling with another person or your family or your friend or whoever is going to be in your RV household with you, you guys need to be, discussing this lifestyle and making some decisions together. Where is it that you want to go? What type of jobs do you want to do? You need to assess what your budget is. Do I, need to make a certain amount of money per month? Do I have other income coming in, so I don't necessarily need to find a paying job? So knowing what your budgetary needs are and things like that. So getting that basis is really where you initially need to start and make sure all of you in your household are on the same page. Then you can go about reviewing the different job opportunities that are out there, as well as putting yourself out there via a resume and some other tools, and then just begin communicating with those employers. And as you're communicating with those employers, you have to be careful not to just get too overexcited and just take the first job that comes along. I mean, the first job that comes along might be the perfect job, and that's great, but you want to make sure you're asking a lot of questions, getting a lot of information ahead of time, so you can make the best decision for you on whether an opportunity is right for you or not. You're going to see a wide variance in the types of jobs that are out there, the types of compensation that's provided, the types of work schedules, etc. So definitely a big range out there. Work camping is doing any kind of part-time or full-time work while living in an RV. So it's not just working in a campground, or it's not just a job that provides an RV site. Like there's a lot more out there for you to explore. So hopefully you'll be able to find something that meets your wants and your needs. And sorry, a lot going through my mind, but we'll dig into this more as we answer more of your questions. So I'm going to go ahead and pop over to our website real quick, just to give you guys a few more specifics here and just kind of some things that you can look at and look for. So workamper.com is our online home. Of course, there are other websites that are out there on the internet now since we came about, and a lot of Facebook groups now as well on the work camping lifestyle. And in their, employers use a variety of ways to find their work campers. We've been at it the longest. We're the most well-known in the community. So we have the largest number of job listings anywhere at any time. And, just the resources and the tools to make it easier for you. So I'm going to talk obviously more specifically about our resources, but know there are other, ways and things you can use on the internet to find work camping opportunities. I just caution you to be careful. There are websites out there that are just open to the world. Anyone can submit on them and post stuff. The same with, social media. You never know if it's, there are bots and scammers kind of lurking around. So just be really cautious about, sharing your information on and open to the internet public forum, and make sure you're really researching those opportunities that you find, posted elsewhere, because you just got to make sure you know your source and know that it is a legitimate opportunity. If an employer is ever asking you to send, send your social security information or your driver's license information, or they're asking for a credit card up front because you need to buy stuff for the thing, like back up. That may not be a good situation, and might be somebody acting as an employer who's not really an employer. So, you shouldn't be providing any of your personal information unless it's like a very secure, online employment portal, or you should never be sending that stuff like via email or text or whatever. So just be cautious about that kind of thing. Because the internet is dark and full of scary people sometimes. But anyway, here at Workamper News, we every new employer that joins, we kind of take a look and, is this a business that's really out there? We don't do like background checks on work campers or employers when they're joining, but we kind of do at least, okay, this does look like a real business. And we've had some, scammers, spammers, whatever you want to call them, like create accounts in our system and try to submit ads using stolen credit cards and stuff like that. But we're able to weed those out, and those, those scammers did not gain access to any of our members and stuff. So here at Workamper News, you have our team as a little bit of a buffer, and also you can call and talk to us anytime. We're real humans. So, we are more of a service in that regard. So when you go to workamper.com, you can join. We have a free trial of our diamond level membership. Our diamond level is really the best one to start at if you're new to work camping. You don't need the platinum level until you have a couple work camping jobs under your belt, because we verify work history on resumes for our platinum members. So the diamond level membership, it's $47 a year right now. Really not, much of an investment there considering all the tools that it gives you. And we're going to talk a little bit about this with one of the other questions as far as like when to look for a job and stuff like that. So, but we do have a yearly membership because it's an ongoing process, you guys. It's not typically a one and done kind of thing. Occasionally it might be some work campers, find one work camping job and that's the only job that they do their entire work camping career. And that's cool if that, works for you. But a lot of work campers go into this lifestyle not wanting to do the same thing or going to the same place more than once. So that requires some more frequent activity as far as the job finding goes. So once you become a member and get logged into the website, you're taken to what's called our dashboard page here. And caveat, we are working on a complete redesign of workamper.com. So if you're watching this video in the future and you're like, that doesn't look like your website at all, well, that's because the new version is launched. We're hoping to launch it late 2023, but programming this kind of beast takes a long time. So we don't have an exact launch date, but I'll talk about the tools the way they are now, and just know that even better enhanced tools are coming later this year. Okay, so once you get logged in, the hotline jobs page and the online magazine are kind of the two main avenues for viewing help wanted advertising. Our online magazine, we're not producing any new issues of the magazine, but each issue that's in the archive, there's 100 issues in there now. Each issue has job listings organized by state. So I definitely encourage you to go ahead and dive into some past issues. Typically in the winter issues of the magazine, you'll find more summer season positions, and in the summer month issues, you'll find more fall winter job listings. When employers join with us, we have some employers that have been with us for over 20 years, and some of them the entire time that we've, been in operations. So if an employer is still, if that business is still open, oftentimes they're still hiring work campers. So even if an opportunity isn't being advertised like right now, if you read an ad, from a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever, if that opportunity sounds right for you, definitely reach out to that employer and say, hey, I see that at some point you were hiring work campers. Do you have any, openings right away or coming up or whatever you're looking for? And just start that communication flow. You never know unless you ask. So we definitely recommend diving in. You'll also find a lot of helpful articles and other information in past issues of our magazine, so take a look at that. But the Hotline Jobs website page is where you will find the latest job listings that have been posted. All of the ads on our hotline page have been posted within the last 14 days. So there's no question in your mind, like, was this posted a month ago, a year ago, 3 years ago? Some of the places that you look for job listings, you have no idea when those ads were posted. It could have been, years ago, you don't know. So here you'll find the latest. You can search. We have 10 different ways that Workampers, can search. You can pick multiple states to look at one time. If you're seeking, an RV site that's provided to you for all hours paid. If you're just looking to work in trade for an RV site, you can search for no monetary compensation. If you have a particular month you're looking to start in, you can search on that. If you're a solo, you can check the box to just view opportunities posted by employers that consider solos. So definitely dig in here, do some searches. We do things differently where we require the employer to submit specific information to us. So that allows the ability for you to search on those kinds of criteria. So, you'll see housing, compensation, job start date, etc., with every job listing. So we do provide some great consistency to help make things a little more streamlined for you guys. Now, the employers write up their own ad text. So as you start going through the ads, you'll begin to see, some provide good details, some, leave much to be desired, some really just like list all the duties and don't say anything else. And so the text of the help wanted posting is definitely going to vary, but so you do understand that, this is just kind of an introduction to the opportunity. You will need to communicate with that employer to be sure you're getting all of the details, about the schedule, compensation, etc. Like I said, so you can make that right decision for you. Also with our job listings, you'll see with some of them, we have these links here, view Praise Your Employer Awards and view Workamper Experience postings. So Workamper Experiences is essentially a review system that has been compiling reviews on employers since about 2007. So it's more underutilized than there are work campers taking jobs, obviously. So if you are a current work camper, I certainly encourage you to go and post about your experience with specific employers in that Workamper Experiences tool, so the tool can be more valuable for everybody. So once you click on that link, it'll take you to any reviews. Obviously, this employer is one operation that has multiple locations here, but we can then, click on the specific one to then read what folks said about working for that employer. So reviews are connected right with help wanted ads. Praise Your Employer is a tool where a work camper can give a star award saying it was a good experience. And if we click on the star award, hopefully it will take us to a page. Oh, this one's hidden, but when a work camper awards the star, they can say to show their email address or not. If the email address was shown, then obviously I could contact that work camper and say, hey, I see that you worked for Snake River Cabins. How did it go? Can I ask you some more questions about it, etc. So a couple different ways to connect you with work campers who have worked for that employer before. So again, we're just trying to kind of take some of the legwork away and compile stuff in one place to make it easier for you guys. We also email these job listings out. Each day we send out our Hotline Jobs email, which our Diamond and Platinum members, you get the newest ads posted that day. Um, Also, you can turn on job alert emails. So if you're looking, I definitely want to be in Wyoming next year, so you can turn on job alerts for Wyoming. Then as soon as a new ad is posted for Wyoming, we take that full job text and email it to you. It's not one of those annoying emails where it's like, hey, this thing was posted on this website, and then you have to go to the website, and then you have to log in, and then you have to try to search and find it on the website. The whole job listing comes to you right in the email in your inbox. So it's easy to see quickly, yes, I'm interested in this one, or no, I'm not, and do whatever you want with the email. So our job alerts are pretty cool. If you are actively, looking for your next position, that's a good thing to turn on. There's a button on the dashboard page, manage job alert emails, so you can turn those job alerts on and off. And like I said, pick the specific states that you are interested in being in. So those are a few avenues for looking at job listings. We also have featured employers. We do jobinars a few times a year, which are webinars like these, where an employer presents the details of their work camping opportunities. Those recorded jobinars are in our media library, which is full of videos, and on our YouTube channel. Our podcast, we have a weekly podcast called the Workamper Show. I'll show you the website for that here in a minute. We do interviews with employers in our podcast. So like this week's episode, we interviewed a representative with Jackson Hewitt. And so he talks a little bit about the different work camping opportunities available with Jackson Hewitt operations. So lots of different ways to connect with employers to, just find all the different opportunities that are out there. So that is some ways to look at employers who are advertising their jobs, but there are some employers who never advertise their jobs. All they do is go in and search our resume database and connect with Workampers that way to find all of their Workampers. So you want to be advertising yourself and making yourself available that way as well, if you want to open yourself up to the largest number of opportunities that are out there. And again, if you want to, you can go on to, the work camping Facebook groups and stuff and post in there. But again, maybe limit the information that you're sharing a little bit and just be a little more cautious when sharing on an open internet resource. But that is another avenue. Facebook is tough because you're relying on the algorithm to get yourself shown to who you want to be shown to. You're also being intermixed. Those work camping Facebook groups are usually a mix of I want job posts and help wanted or help needed posts, and it's kind of a mix, and then questions are thrown in there and people are arguing about stuff and everybody has to give their opinion on everything. And so it can be a little more jumbled. And again, like I said, you're working against that algorithm, whether or not it's showing you the stuff you want to see. So it is a resource for, finding opportunities as well. And I encourage you to use it, but I wouldn't solely rely on that because it's definitely going to be more limiting to what you're connecting with. So okay, so in our system, our diamond and platinum level members, and sorry, there was one more thing I wanted to mention to you guys. So we provide all of our job listings for free. So if all you want from Workamper News is job listings and you're not interested in, reading reviews and creating a resume and learning about the lifestyle and all that kind of stuff, you can just join with our free trial of Diamond, turn off the auto renew and let that lapse. You'll be reverted back to our free intro account status, and you can look at all the past issues of our magazine online, and you can receive the daily hotline jobs email. The jobs in that email are going to be 14 days old, but we will email you all of the job listings. You won't be able to go to the website page to look at the new jobs and search the jobs. We'll just be emailing those job listings to you, but you do have access to all of them, just on a delayed basis. So that's a caveat. We have some folks ask that occasionally, but once you get in with our diamond level membership, and if you really dig in and utilize the tools how they're meant to, you guys are immediately going to see the value and want to continue as members. Most folks do, which we really appreciate. We're supported both sides. We're not just supported by employers, so we're not beholden to employers. We're supported by both work campers and employers equally. So you guys keep us going and allow us to create these kind of tools, and with our new website build, enhance those tools and make them better for you, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so resume builder, we have a step-by-step tool that you can use here. Some of you guys haven't made resumes for probably quite a long time. especially if you've had like a long-term career and stuff like that. So it can be a little daunting. So with our builder, it's just basically kind of fill in the blanks, you know, putting in some easy stuff, your contact information, when you're available to work, what season you're looking for, what type of entities you'd like to work for, salary, schedule, etc. Select the locations that you want to be in, starting on your availability date. In the history section, you can enter, if you've had past work camping jobs, you can put those in there. If you want to list other jobs that you did before you began work camping, that's totally fine too. We just discourage you guys from listing like every job you've had since you were 14 and making it super long and a lot to read. Understand, as employers are, you know, going through resumes, sometimes they don't have a lot of time. So they don't need your whole history of your life. They are looking at, you know, what's in it for me? What is this work camper going to do for me? How are they going to benefit my operation? So as you're creating your resume, you should be essentially answering that question for the employer. So in the sell yourself section, you can put in, this is kind of a free text section, so you can put in here what you want. We have this view sample button over here on the right. You're welcome to look at the sample and kind of model off of that. You really just want to put most of your focus on, you know, what skills you have and what you bring to the table, your objective, what you're interested in, etc. So that's an easier way to do it, just using that sample, going off the sample. You can put in some photos if you want to, totally up to you. You can also, if you have a video that you've put maybe on your YouTube channel or something that's just a little introduction about yourself, you can put that link to a YouTube video or Vimeo video or whatnot there in the URL field. And then, so we take everything that you guys enter in those sections and combine it and put it into this resume here with the photos, the video, and then here's like all of the information that we entered in all of those sections. And so our employers can go in and they have multiple different search fields. That's why all of this information is different fields. Employers then use those fields to search on, to pull up and look at resumes. You can also print your resume out. You can email it to anybody that you want to, and the system will keep track of who you have emailed it to. So you can see when and who you sent your resume to. We do recommend that you follow up once you send your initial inquiry. If the job is maybe starting like months from now, you might, you know, give them a week or two to get back to you. If it is a job that's starting like immediately, they need you ASAP or starts within the next month or so, you might just wait a day or so before following up with that employer. So just to express your interest, make sure they received your first inquiry, etc. It's always good to follow up. You could also export your resume as a PDF file if you want to attach it to an email out of your own email inbox, or if you need to upload it to an online application process, etc. So yeah, this is an easy to use builder tool. You want to get this filled out and keep it active throughout the year. So once you've secured a position for whatever, you know, the next time frame is, come in here and update your resume to the next time frame that you're available, update your locations, your settings, your availability date, etc. Then your resume is working for you all the time. And the more often that you guys update it, when an employer searches the database, the most recently updated resumes appear at the top of their search results. So the more often you're updating it, the more frequently you're going to be towards the top of the search results, thus more likely to have your resume looked at. And so updating your resume is as easy as just clicking the save button. Pretty good. So that's not too hard. You know, just keep it open in your browser on your phone every day and just hit that save button every day to update your resume. So that's another way to kind of get in front of employers. You can also run what's called a situations wanted ad, which is just a little blurb saying, hey, I'm super awesome. I'm looking for a job starting at this time for this place, and my skills are really great, so contact me, I'm awesome. So you can run a little ad about yourself that we post. Again, the ads and the resumes are only available to our employer members who have invested in membership and are logged into our website. So your data is not posted to the open internet. It can't be found by anyone but our employer members. So you can feel a little more secure in sharing your information here with us. So yeah, situations wanted online ad runs for 2 months at a time, and it's just kind of another way to sort of jump up and down in front of employers. So yeah, that kind of, gives you some steps into getting started and at least looking at some job listings and getting that resume going on our website. Like I said, you can, post in social media and stuff too. I just caution that and would recommend making that not your only avenue for finding opportunities. Some work campers find just cold calling businesses in the areas they want to go to has worked for them. So yeah, there's really kind of a variety. It's just like job finding is kind of a game, and you just need to develop your own strategy. Everybody's gonna find their own way to do things, but you do need to be proactive and kind of work continuously at it. Very rarely do jobs just fall right into your lap. So there is going to be a little bit of work for it. So all right, hopefully that kind of gives you guys a good, stair-step introduction. Let's go ahead and we'll pop back over to the PowerPoint. And as we go through more of your questions, we'll get a little more into some details and aspects of the job finding process, but hopefully that gives you guys a good start. Okay, what skills are most desirable for work camping jobs? As you're, looking through the different job listings that are out there, you're going to see that a lot of these positions are fairly entry level, as you could call them. So not rocket science, not a lot of prior experience is needed for a lot of these positions. So if you're brand new to the lifestyle, don't think, oh, I'm never going to find a job, no one's going to hire me, whatever. You want to move forward with a positive attitude and be like, I've never, worked at a campground before. I've never worked at a visitor center before. I've never worked at a travel center. I've never worked at a restaurant. I've never worked at a retail operation, but I'm excited to try it. I do have these skills from my previous job that I think correlate to this opportunity. So I'm a sponge, train me, let's do this, don't act fearful, like you're not good enough, that kind of attitude is not going to help you. It's not going to serve you. So skills that are most desirable, oftentimes a lot of it's customer service. The majority of opportunities that you see advertised are campgrounds, RV resorts, day use areas, county parks, city parks, state parks, all kinds of parks. But there are, other things. So if you're like, I really don't want to have to deal with people, there are opportunities for that as well, where you're behind the scenes or in a remote area or working by yourself or whatever. There are opportunities for that too. So, but in general, having some sort of customer service experience is good. If you are comfortable working on a computer, that's always good to share. Even if you don't have specific experience in certain programs, that's fine. Even if you're just like, look, I spent most of my career on a computer, so I'm very comfortable with it. So learning campground reservation software will likely come easy to me because I'm familiar with using certain software programs. Or, when I worked at XYZ place, I was given a system and I had to work that system all the time, so I'm familiar with doing repetitive things and et cetera, et cetera. So, and there's likely, think about not just previous jobs that you've had, but also just things that you've done in your life. If you guys owned a home or lived in a home and had property to maintain, you might be very adept at mowing and weed eating and painting and very light electrical and light plumbing. A lot of folks are kind of good at troubleshooting. Oh, I've got a leak, I can at least, put a Band-Aid on it and get it taken care of before getting a professional in. And, so you may have some, maintenance and groundskeeping experience, just maintaining a home or a property that you lived on. If you were a parent, you likely have multitasking skills, organizational skills, etc., just managing your household and kids. If you coached your kids' sports teams, you have some, leadership, coaching abilities, experience. maybe some management experience. Were you the, treasurer at your church's whatever group? You have some money handling experience, maybe some bookkeeping experience. So again, just kind of think about all aspects of your life up until now and just what skills you have to bring to the table. Most often employers are just looking for folks, like I said, with a positive attitude, willing to learn, willing to be flexible, just jump in and do their best. That's really kind of the bottom line for a lot of employers. So if there are, certain specific like experiences or things that an employer wants you to have done, they'll mention that. And it's usually going to be more like if they're hiring managers, they would prefer to have somebody who's maybe managed before or at least worked in campgrounds before to step into a manager role, or whatever business type it was, worked in that business before becoming a manager of it, just for having that experience of the operations and stuff. So yeah, but it's not a lot. All right, next up. Okay, this person is hoping to be working in 2024. As a general rule, when do I need to have a position secured by? So the specific answer to this question is when you want to. So there is kind of some seasonality. Sorry guys, I'm getting a little bit warm now. The air conditioning usually just freezes me out, but talking to you guys is warming me up, getting me excited. Okay, so often there are kind of two general seasons for work camping. We have our spring summer season, which is like April, May through September, October, because a lot of these opportunities that you guys will see are in the outdoor hospitality industry. So common sense, it makes sense. There are more opportunities available in the spring and summer because more businesses are open. A lot of outdoor hospitality businesses close in the winter months if their area covers them in snow and freezing temperatures, etc. A lot of RVers don't like to be in freezing temperatures in the winter because dealing with that in an RV is just a little more cumbersome. So lots of opportunities for kind of that time frame, April, May through September, October. So those summer season positions, we will see advertising for those starting in, like, there are employers starting now. So kind of July, August, September, October, you'll begin to see opportunities being advertised for the next summer season. But once we hit January, February, March, then it gets really like, whoa, lots of ads for that summer season. So a lot of work campers like to plan ahead. There are many of you out there who are like, I'm lined up through 2025, everybody, and because that's what they like to do. And then there are other work campers who are like, I wait until like a month before I want to start a job, and then I find one that I want to do. So it kind of is what you're comfortable with. There are some of you who are planners where you're like, I want all of this figured out and I know where I'm going to be and what I'm going to do, and that's cool. And there are others who are like, I don't really know yet where I want to be, or I'm waiting on, something with my family member, or I'm waiting to see if this other thing works out. And so, you're just a little more loose with your schedule. Cool. The earlier you start, kind of the more opportunities you'll have open to you. At least that 3-month or more time frame before starting a job is probably about when you're going to see the most opportunities for that time period that you're looking for. As you get closer to the season starting, there will still be opportunities, and even once a season starts, there are work campers who don't show up for the job, whether it was, our RV fell apart, or, we had a medical emergency or a family emergency, or there are just those pickles out there who just totally ghost employers and don't show up at all. Please don't be that work camper. So, there are opportunities that come up at the start of a season or in the middle of a season. So it is possible to find opportunities kind of on the fly, but the pool that you are fishing from is going to be smaller. So I would say, as a general rule, if you're wanting to plan ahead a little bit, 3 months at least before you want to start a position, if not a little bit earlier than that. For fall, winter, it's a little bit harder. There's a little bit less of a, this is when those season jobs are advertised, because there are just less of them. Like I said, a lot of businesses close up in the northern, this is the northern half of the country and the southern half of the country. So there are less things open, so there are less job opportunities available, just kind of in general. So a lot more work campers are in the South trying to find opportunities, and there are less opportunities to be had just because of the influx of folks. I'm not saying that there aren't jobs available and it's going to be really hard to find them, but if you are someone who's like, I need paid for every hour worked, and I want to earn this specific dollar amount or more per hour, and I want my RV site provided to me, and I want some other perks, and I have a 40-foot RV, and I have a trailer, and I have 5 dogs and 4 kids. That kind of situation is going to be a little harder to pin down for yourself when you have kind of more of a unique wants, needs, RV setup, etc. So if that's you, that's cool. I'm not saying that that kind of setup is bad or wrong in any way. I'm just saying there are some factors that can limit the number of opportunities that would be available to you. So if that is you, you might need to work a little bit harder to find that, you know, diamond or needle in the haystack, etc. So for fall, winter especially, you kind of want to be just keeping an eye on things year round. We will see in the summer months a few more fall winter jobs, or especially now fall winter jobs. Like one example is pumpkin sales lots and like Christmas tree sales tents. We're seeing more of those listings coming up right now just because they're really gearing up for their season. So we'll start to see, you know, the Jackson Hewitts, the tax services, they need people usually starting about January, so you'll see more of their ads coming up about now, etc. So for fall, winter, you just gotta kind of keep at it and be constantly looking, more so in the summer months, but yeah, that one you just kind of want to stay on top of. It is a little bit harder to find the opportunities where all hours are paid and RV site is provided to you for the fall, winter. They, especially like campgrounds and RV parks, know that RVers want to be in the South in the winter months a lot of times. And so some of those operations in those areas will be more likely to do like a compensation package where you are working just hours in trade for RV site, or you're working X number of hours for your RV site, and any hours over are paid a certain amount. You'll kind of see more of those compensation packages in the fall, winter months in campgrounds in the South because they know they can, because they know where campers want to be in those areas. So you'll see kind of, and what a good compensation package is depends on you guys. You know, some of you don't want to have reported income, so you just want to work and trade for a site and not have anything reported. Some of you need to earn a certain dollar amount to make your budget work, etc. Like, so, you know, what's good for one is not good for everybody. So I'm not saying, you know, it's not, we're not here. Workamper News isn't here to play judge and jury on the work camping opportunities. It's up to each work camper to determine if an opportunity is right for them or not. Are there some employers that are out there looking to take advantage of work campers? Yes. Are there work campers out there looking to take advantage of employers and expect too much of employers? Yes. That's just the nature of people, y'all. So that's why we are trying to just kind of overload you guys with education so you know what questions to ask. So you're getting that full picture as best you can of that opportunity, so you can say, yes, this should work for me, or no, this is not going to work for me. Okay, because in the end, that's for you guys to decide. All right, next question up here. Is it okay to negotiate the length of a job? Example, an employer wants 12 months, but that person only wants to be there for 6 months. All you can do is ask. You know, the worst they can say is no, and then you know that's not going to work for you. It just kind of, it's going to depend on the operation, whether they are flexible on that or not. It likely could depend on the position. Like if the position is maybe more of a managerial position, I could see them being less flexible on the timing. If the position is kind of a lesser position, an easier, more like hourly position within the company, there may be more flexibility there. If the operation is only open for a certain period of time in the year, they may not be flexible because they're like, look, we're only open for 6 months, or we're only open for 4 months or 5 months or whatever. Or like example, the sugar beet harvest is a very popular work camping opportunity, working at the receiving stations for the beet harvest. That job goes anywhere from like 2 weeks to 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks at the most, I think. They're not going to be like, sure, you can come for 1 week and then leave. Like, it's such a short period of time. If you're going to do it, do it. They probably won't negotiate so much on length of stay in that extreme example. But yeah, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is they say no, or they just never get back to you at all. So, and then that's not the right one. That is not your huckleberry. So you just move on to the next. All right, next question here. A couple questions submitted by 2 different folks, but kind of on the similar topic, so I put them together here. Are solos being phased out? No, solos are not being phased out. We see with our job listings, typically anywhere from 70 to 80% of the job listings, the employer indicates that they consider solos for their jobs. So the majority of employers that are advertising consider solos for their jobs. So no, they're not being phased out. How common is it for a bigger family type resort campground to accept only one member of a couple? And so, there are different types of solo work campers that are out there. There are solos who are, traveling just by themselves in their RV and it's just them. And there are solo work campers where there are multiple humans in the RV, but only one of them is seeking to be hired for a job. And that's cool too. In that instance, you just want to make sure in your resume and in your communications with an employer, hey, I am the person seeking a position with you, but note there are other humans or pets in my RV that will be with me. And so, just being upfront about that so there's no questions or surprises. But to answer your question, how common is it? I can't really say. So we are not an agency in that we don't place people in the jobs. So when an employer, runs an ad seeking work campers, we don't know what work campers contact them. We don't know what work campers go take those jobs, how long those work campers stay, don't stay, etc. That's just not information we have. Employers don't have time to be sharing all of that data with us. And as we see, work campers don't have time or don't take the time to keep their resume updated, to post reviews and share that kind of stuff. So it would just make things more cumbersome. So I don't know how common it is. It's going to depend on the business operation. So at a, family type resort campground, which is probably, going to be maybe like a KOAs, Jellystones are going to be more like that. And there are lots of, family, smaller, individually owned parks that are geared towards kids and stuff like that. But often they are providing an RV site, usually as part of the, as the compensation or part of the compensation, or they're paying you for all hours and providing you the site. So it's just going to depend how many sites they are willing to allot for their work camper team. Some may be limited on the number they're willing to share. Some are going to be more flexible on the number of sites they're willing to allot for their work campers. So it's going to vary. You might check into amusement parks as well. Some amusement parks like Adventureland in Iowa, Darien Lake. That's a Six Flags now, I think, in Darien Lake, New York, Storyland in New Hampshire. They have campgrounds either on site or nearby. So I think sites are provided as part of the compensation. So, they may be more flexible just because they're seeking a larger number of people anyway. There are some amusement parks where, and even just some work camping jobs in general don't provide an RV site. Like, it's up to the work camper to go and find their own site nearby to, facilitate the job. In that instance, of course, that, it's not going to matter to them whether there's how many of you are in the RV that are taking the job. If they hire you to do the job, you go find your own RV site and it doesn't matter. So like Dollywood is like that, Silver Dollar City is like that, and a few other employers, not just amusement parks, have that kind of setup where you find your own RV site. So that would be, you know, an opportunity there too. So I'm sorry, I don't have a specific answer to that question. That is you could pose that question in, you know, one of the big Workamping Facebook groups to ask that question more directly of the Workampers who are taking the jobs, to then see, you know, what their specific experience is like. All right. Next up, seasonally, where do people want to be? Totally up to them. Like I said, there's a little bit of kind of typicalness when it comes to it. A lot of RVers, like we talked about, don't want to, you know, deal with freezing temperatures in their water lines and their holding tanks and stuff. So a lot of RVers like to head to warmer temperatures in the winter months. That's not always necessarily south. Sometimes it's, you know, just heading to certain coasts and stuff like that. You know, there are parts of coastal Washington and Oregon and stuff that doesn't, you know, get below freezing in the winter months and things like that. So it's not always necessarily just the southern half of the country is where all those RVers flock to. But yeah, so where do you want to be? It's totally up to you, where you want to go and what you want to do. We talked about a little bit about the seasonality. There's usually a summer, winter, and a spring, summer, and a fall, winter season with Workamping, but there are opportunities kind of sprinkled in all throughout. So if there are, you know, you are seeking more of a shorter term, you don't want to do a full summer, there are some opportunities that are shorter, or an employer is maybe willing to take people for a shorter period of time than their whole season. So they're definitely out there. Okay, what questions should I ask when deciding on a Workamping job? That's a very good question. I am going to pop back over to my internet browser. Okay, so we have a blog website. It is called goneworkamping.com, goneworkamping.com. So I post a new article here pretty much every 2 weeks, informational articles, talking about specific Workamping jobs. It really kind of varies. So lots of different information here on the RV lifestyle, as well as Workamping, of course. So one thing we can do, I know we posted an article with questions. Oh, look, and I was doing this ahead of time. So if I search on the word interview, it's going to pull up articles with the word interview in it. So here's one, good interview, did you get the job? But this is the article that I'm looking for. What to ask a Workamper employer during an interview. So we compiled some information here. So you can read through these. And we have another one as well. Let me see if that's in here, because I know we did another article with some more. Here it is. Questions to ask Workamper employers to enhance expectations. This is what I would call the big list, even more options here. Job duties, job hours and time off, work environment, attire, compensation, perks, questions about hourly stuff, salary questions, if you're volunteering or exchanging time for your RV site, ask questions about your RV site. So lots of questions here. What's in the local area? So you can kind of take this list. You probably won't be able, you may not want to ask all of these questions that are in here. Obviously there's, you know, maybe more, but like look at this kind of list, narrow down to which items are most important to you, add in your own questions that you're thinking of, etc. But you're really just trying to find out, you know, is this opportunity, is this environment going to work for me? If the person you are communicating with is not going to be like your manager, supervisor, or whatever, you could request to communicate with whoever is going to be your manager, supervisor, etc., to at least maybe have an initial phone conversation with them, just to feel out, you know, if your personalities are going to mesh and you like talking to that person, just to get a feel for who they are, because it's going to depend. So some operations, who is doing the hiring is like the chief cook, bottle washer, whatever that phrase is. They might be the owners, and so they're involved in all the operations and doing all the things. That may be who you are doing your interviews with. Or you are communicating with an HR person who has nothing to do with the place you're actually going to be working at. Or you might be applying for a remote position. And if you're applying for a remote work position, then a lot of these questions don't matter so much. So it's going to kind of depend on the type of business and the scenario of who you're, talking to, etc. But you want to make sure the employer is giving you the time of day. And preferably, hopefully you're doing at least one kind of either phone call or like FaceTime, live webcam call. So there are live voices, going back and forth kind of thing. If you're just emailing back and forth, you can, pick up on some things with that, but you're interpreting the tone and making assumptions and stuff, maybe a little more so if you're just emailing back and forth. And so that, could give you enough information for you to feel comfortable with it. But oftentimes talking face to face with somebody, or at least voice to voice with somebody, is going to be more enlightening for you. If the employer is not taking enough time and is not willing to answer your questions, then it's up to you whether to say, I'm okay with it, I'm going to move forward anyway, or they're not giving me the time of day, I'm not even going to let myself go there because, you're setting yourself up for surprises and misinterpretations and stuff. Communication is key a lot of times in the success of how these things go. And like I mentioned, there are some employers that are just not great people, or they're good people, but they're challenging to work for, so lots of different situations out there. And it's, not every opportunity is going to be awesome. You may go to a job and something may change while you're there. That's why, we talk about getting a work agreement, which we'll hit on here in another question or two. So yeah, ask lots of questions ahead of time. You want to make sure that your living environment is going to be okay. If they're providing the living environment, you want to know as much as you can about, your work schedule, your compensation, how that will work for your budget and stuff. If things are going to be taxed or not taxed, reported as income, not reported as income, etc. If there are bonus involved, what are the stipulations in receiving that bonus? If things were to go south, if you needed to leave for either a short period of time, medical emergency, or need to terminate the position, what happens then? So yeah, just lots of information that and some of you will have different things that need to be known more than others. Some of you don't have pets, so it doesn't matter what their pet policy is. Some of you have kids, some of you don't have kids, so there's different, different things. Some of you, it's RV site. Will my RV fit there? Can I safely drive my RV to your location, or is there a low bridge that would prevent me from getting there? Just all kinds of little things to think about and know about ahead of time. Some of the stuff you can maybe find out on your own, just researching and looking at their website. And you do want to do as much due diligence as possible before the interview. Having some knowledge of the entity before communicating with the employer, makes you look good to the employer. You're already putting in effort to get to know them and understand them, and it hopefully can then bypass having to talk about some basic information, and you can get to more of the details that way. So definitely try to do as much due diligence as you can ahead of time before doing that interview. So maybe there's a little bit less time wasted on the easy stuff, kind of thing. And some employers will have lots of information out there to be found about them, and some of them will not. It's really going to vary. And some employers are running, advertising, and they're trying to replace people that are currently working there. So they're not even sharing what the company is, because they don't want the people who are currently working there to know they're trying to find replacements for them. So, you may not have a lot of information ahead of time before communicating with employer, but most of the time you do and can do your research and stuff ahead of time. So dig into this article, lots of questions there. Also, if you're a member, I'm going to pop back over to workamper.com and go to our media library. We do have some good videos that are on here. Like I talked about, we have our recorded job webinars, and we'll be having some new ones of those coming up later this year. Scroll past all of our Q&As. There are some general RVing videos talking about tires, domicile, mail forwarding services, budgeting, handling mail, health insurance for nomads. We've got a video on that. We'll keep going. Lots of videos in here, guys. Okay, Workamper training is a good section to start in. So we have a video here talking about interviewing, a video here talking about making a first impression as a Workamper, some more thorough steps on finding a Workamping job. So good video content here for you guys to go through, talking about resumes and more. So dive into those as well, just to kind of help you build that confidence in knowing what to do with that interview process. Okay, let's go back to our PowerPoint. Yeah, I'll keep my day job, guys. Don't worry. All right. Why don't employers post and provide Workamper agreements? Why does the Workamper have to initiate or request it in so many cases? So some of you are like, I don't even know what a work agreement is. So a work agreement, it's not typically a contract that's going to be like binding in a legal battle. It's really a communication tool, kind of like we've been talking about. So a work agreement typically lays out, start and end dates, schedule, compensation that's going to be provided, expectations. So we recommend having one of those, whether you write it up or the employer writes it up, just laying out all of those things. Especially if you have communicated with the employer and agreed upon some specifics that are maybe not unusual, but just special, like, you always have Sundays off, or you will always, if you're a couple, you always have the same days off together, or you will be working a specific shift, or the employer agreed to always provide a stool for you to lean on when you're working the gatehouse, or, some kind of specifics like that. Those kind of things should be, mentioned in this work agreement. It's just a tool to help you and the employer be on the same page about everything, because it's very easy for us to make assumptions on things. And so this hopefully lays out what was discussed during the interview and research process. And why don't employers post and provide Workamper agreements? Just from our perspective here at Workamper News, getting employers to proactively do things is very challenging just in general. A lot of them struggle just to write a help wanted ad, and it's very hard for them to do that, and they're, struggle with that and barely get around to doing that because they just don't want to, or they're too busy doing the 100 other things that their business requires, etc. So oftentimes an employer is not going to post that information on their website or with their help wanted ad or whatever, and oftentimes it's because it's specific to the individual Workamper employer relationship. So, one agreement for one Workamper at that job will look like this, another agreement may look like that. So maybe they do it on a case-by-case basis. It's not just a generic thing. Employers should have obviously a generic, this is all the details of our opportunity. Whether or not they've written that into a document is another story. Every employer is going to do it differently, just like every Workamper does it differently. You can pull up 5 Workamper resumes in our database and all of them look different because everybody does things a little bit differently. We even give a sample and say, here's what your resume could look like, and we recommend that it looks like. And you look at 5 resumes and only one of them is kind of close to the sample. The other 4 were just like, we're doing this our own way, and do it their own way. That's just kind of how it goes with people. So why does the Workamper have to initiate? Again, it's just, there are a lot of employers that maybe don't even know what a work agreement is. We send them stuff, like employers get emails from us. We send out a mailed newsletter as well as an online newsletter. We've done videos for them and things like that, but you can lead a horse to water, right? So some of them know what work agreements are, Some of them don't know what work agreements are. So it just depends. It's going to depend. Some have HR departments that have other processes that they do, you know, to facilitate that kind of stuff, and they would never have a work agreement because HR says we do it this way. Yep. So I'm sorry, I don't have like a magical answer. Yes, all employers will do this going forward because they have to, you know, there's no way to enforce that kind of thing. So yes, it can be work to find the right work camping opportunity for you and get all those checks, you know, off your list that you want made. But again, it's up to you whether you feel confident in moving forward with an opportunity without a work agreement. If you must have one, and if the employer is unwilling to do it, then you don't accept that job. That's fine. That's totally, you know, up to you guys to decide. You know, there's no certainty that if you have a work agreement, everything is going to be perfect, you know, but it is a communication tool that you have. So if you're at a work camping opportunity and, you know, something changes about your schedule or your site or the compensation or whatever, you have this tool to go to, you know, management and say, hey, look, this is what I thought we agreed to. This is what is happening. What can we do to get back on the same page? And so you either need to know what you're willing to compromise to, or if you have to get it back to what was originally stated, that's fine. And then, you know, try to set a date at which you would expect things to have changed by. And then if they haven't, you know, fulfilled the little agreement that you make with them, then it's up to you whether just to move on or see it through and finish the position out. You know, just like with people, it varies. Some work campers say, I can do anything for a few months, get through it and move on. Some work campers are, you know, at the first sign of discomfort, they're out and leaving. It really kind of varies. Obviously, if you're in a situation where like your safety is a concern or like your health or you know, you're scared to be there, get out of Dodge. You know, obviously there are certain situations that warrant that. But sometimes if it's just like, well, if you don't like your RV site, don't just leave in the middle of the night. Please try to communicate that with the employer and see if something can be changed before just leaving, you know. So all kinds of situations come up, you guys. So hopefully you can, you know, try your best to make things and fulfill that commitment and do what you can. But sometimes that's just not going to work out. Okay, next up. How do I circumvent problems when traveling far for a work camping job? I wasn't exactly sure how to, exactly sure what they were asking here. You could kind of think of it in a couple different ways. I mean, the first way I thought of it was they're worried about like issues with their RV in traveling that far, like you're worried about like tire blowouts or like stuff going wrong with the RV or something like that. I mean, if you are wanting to get more comfortable with managing your RV and the maintenance and dealing with stuff like that, I would look into the National RV Training Academy, nrvta.com. They have like live in-person training where you can go and learn about the different systems of your RV and how to maintain them. They have some online and like USB video course training and stuff too, so it's not just in-person training. So if you're looking for that kind of problem solving, I would just get some more education on your RV in general to help you feel more confident about that. There are also RV driving schools. If you go on Google and just search RV driving school, you'll find a couple of those. RV basic training is one that I know of. So if you just need more confidence in driving your RV, there are instructors that you can go to or come to you to help you with driving your RV so you can feel more confident. If you are asking like, how do I circumvent problems with an employer before I get there? That's just, you know, some communication is what I would recommend as an answer for that. Because, you know, like we talked about before, you might be accepting a position a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year before you even start that job. So in that time period you have between accepting your job and going to it, we tell the employers to be checking in with the work campers, but we also recommend work campers to check in with the employer, especially if the employer's not already doing that as well. So I would be maybe, sending an email here or there, or sending a text if you have a direct phone number for the person that you're working for. You could be, just checking in with them. Like employers, it's a little bit easier. Employers can be mailing you stuff about the local area, sending you more details about the operation in the area in general. So it's a little easier for the employer to be sharing with the work camper. But as the work camper, I would be kind of checking in as well with whoever your contact person is, whether it's via email, phone call, text, whatever. Just every once in a while, making sure all systems are still a go. Especially if it's many months before you'll be starting that job. Some operations may have a management change or ownership change in that time period that you would want to be alerted to. We've had situations where a campground was bought out by some corporate, and that corporate doesn't know what work campers are and isn't going to use work campers and just wants to hire all their own or bring in all their own people or whatever. And so those work campers are like, I'm here for my job, and they're like, what are you talking about? It's like, like that's sucky. But if you're a work camper, checking in more often, then hopefully you would be alerted to that kind of thing before traveling hundreds of miles to that opportunity. So yeah, just keeping in communication. And then if that employer is ghosting you, just double check your contact info, making sure you're contacting their correct email address or phone number or whatever. Try to find alternate contact information for that employer if they're not getting back to you. But yeah, if they ghost you, then then I wouldn't go. If you're not hearing back from them and getting confirmation from them, then I wouldn't go, and I would try to find another opportunity at that point. We don't hear about that happening a whole lot. Here and there occasionally, but I don't see a lot of folks saying that kind of situation happens very often. Okay, sorry guys, let me get back to the PowerPoint here. Okay. All right, next up. I have a insert description of unique RV here. Is this acceptable? So kind of mentioned it earlier a little bit, but a unique RV would be something like a non-self-contained RV. So maybe you are vehicle camping or tent camping, or you have maybe a van or something that doesn't have a bathroom, a kitchen, heating and cooling, etc. That would be like a non-self-contained unit. So there are some employers where they won't accept that type of RV. And that's more often going to be employers that they don't have a shower house on site, they don't have a bathhouse on site, they don't have laundry facilities, etc. Or you are in a wilderness area where there are a lot of wildlife and it's just not as safe for you to just be in a tent or sleeping in a car. Or being able to survive different fluxes of weather. I know there are certainly capabilities for staying warm in below freezing temperatures or staying cool in very hot temperatures without having an RV with a furnace and an air conditioner, but it is more challenging. And the employer they want you to be able to come there, be comfortable and safe, and be able to work and get the job done without a lot of other kind of life hassle. So there will be some opportunities where those types of setups are not going to be allowed just because you wouldn't be able to facilitate things as a human. They want you to be able to bathe and keep clean and have food, keep food from spoiling, making your own food, washing your clothes, things like that. So that's kind of a why those types of setups are not always accepted. And sometimes it has to do with the business operation itself. So if it is a commercial style campground and the Workampers RV sites are like the first sites as the guest drives in the campground, well then that employer may be less likely to allow a school bus conversion or an RV from 1972 that hasn't been maintained. It's a visual thing for their campground. They want to, have a certain impression that they're making to their camping guests. So that could sometimes be a limiting factor. But there are employers, like I said, that aren't RV parks and campgrounds. So if the business that you're going to work for, if their business is not campground, then, it's the RV sites and the look of your RV is going to be less important to them than if what they are selling is RV sites. So hopefully that makes sense. Also what can be limiting is size of RV. So lots of work campers want to know, well, what size of RV do I need to be a work camper? And so our answer to that is you need to get the RV that works for you. Find the RV that fits your budget and what you are physically capable of handling and what you feel like you will enjoy living in and be comfortable in. And then find opportunities that match that. My example from before is, you have a 42-foot diesel pusher and you're pulling a trailer behind it because you have car or golf carts or whatever in your super cool trailer. Like, that's an awesome setup, but there are going to be some times where you're going to be too big for a campsite. And so you won't work at that employer just because your setup is too large. So like lengthwise, some folks will say stay under 30 feet, but that's not, again, I want you guys to find the RV that you like. There are some, even with national parks and stuff, the guest camping sites are often more limited as far as the length and height of RV that can fit in the guest campgrounds, but like working for the concessionaires that operate in and around national parks, they have campsites that are specific for the workers that are working there, the work campers, and those sites often accommodate larger RVs than the campgrounds the guest campers get to stay in. So I wouldn't even say that to work in national parks, you should have a shorter RV. Like, that's not even, a thing that is certain. Yeah. Will it be a little bit harder sometimes to find opportunities if you have more of a unique setup? Possibly. But again, it all kind of depends on what you guys are looking for. So don't give up hope. All right. Next question here. Are there ever any part-time positions at national parks? Yes. As long as you are looking for volunteer, where you're just working typically in trade for an RV site, yes, there will be opportunities available to you. As far as part-time paid positions, I'm not as sure about that. In our system, we see the concessionaires advertise more often for work campers. So like Xanterra, Delaware North, Aramark, they operate in and around national parks and cool tourist areas. We see them advertise a lot for work campers, but like the National Park Service itself doesn't often run ads in work camping avenues for volunteers and stuff like that. You would use volunteer.gov. So if you go to volunteer.gov and we scroll down to the bottom, you can see these logos at the bottom down here. So if you are specifically looking for the National Park Service, I would come here first, or you could go to the website for that national park that you want to be at specifically and look at their website. The national parks usually have quite a bit of information on their website. So it's more often going to be volunteer positions, but there may be some ranger positions that are part-time. I just haven't seen any. But yeah, so volunteer.gov is a good avenue. We do see, like us specifically, Workamper News, we have a general contract with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which has campgrounds and day use areas, in multiple different states around the U.S. So the Corps does use Workamper News a lot to advertise their volunteer opportunities and paid gate attendant positions. But if you are looking for, Forest Service, National Park Service, working for them directly, not a concessionaire. The concessionaires, like I said, we'll advertise Workamper news and other work camping avenues. But for the volunteer gigs, volunteer.gov is a really good place to start for those. We have a volunteer section on our website. Like if you go to Work Camping Job Resources, there's a volunteer section. We do have like some cool videos. Like this couple here is Hank in Georgia, and they worked like thousands and thousands of volunteer hours for the National Park Service and did it for many, many years. So there are definitely folks out there who have done that. You can read a little bit about them here and who are doing it. If you go to our volunteer opportunities page now, these are going to be nonprofit organizations that are seeking work campers to volunteer for them. So our volunteer opportunities page, that's open to anyone visiting our website under the job resources section. You can check that out. We have new opportunities being posted, here and there throughout the year on that page. So yeah, part-time positions at national parks are out there. Like I said, I would use volunteer.gov and go through that site or contact them directly. Okie dokie. Next up, we're getting close, guys. I think we've got maybe just 1 or 2 questions left here. Okay, these questions have to do with full-timing families. What online school program is everyone using for their kids? And is there a Facebook group for the kids of work campers? So I am not sure. We don't, like I said, we don't have a lot of, like our work campers don't tell us everything about themselves. So I'm not familiar with the different types of, online school or homeschooling options that are available out there. I would definitely get on Facebook. There are groups for like road schooling families. So if you kind of do some searches on that, you'll find some, Facebook groups where fellow RVing families are chatting, talking about things. There's also an organization, fulltimefamilies.com. If you go to their website, and we can go there now. They have they're kind of a membership organization, and they have a lot of different resources for families on the road. They've been around a long time. We've known about them a long time. Have communicated with them quite a bit. So yeah, you can join their program. They have like live events, but also kind of some online stuff as well to connect with. They've compiled a lot of resources for RVing families on the road and stuff. So I would direct you to their website. They're going to have a lot more resources than we do as far as homeschooling. Like there's an article right there, how to homeschool while RVing. As far as, is there like a social media group or something specifically for kids of work campers? I wasn't able to find anything when I was searching around, but that would need to be a pretty locked down group. So it might be a group has all the privacy settings turned on and stuff, so it can't be found in searches. So again, getting into those road schooling groups on Facebook or connecting here with the Full-Time Families organization, that's going to connect you with the resources that are out there, and hopefully maybe a way to safely connect your kids with fellow other work camping kids that are out there. We just want to make sure everybody's staying safe online and stuff. So I'm sure that's been built by somebody out there. Okay. All right, let's see, back to our slideshow. Okay. Oh, those were our last questions that were submitted ahead of time. Okay, cool. All right, so we went through everybody's questions that were submitted ahead of time. If anybody's online with us, if you guys want to type in any questions, I'll do my best to answer a few other questions or any comments that you have. While you guys are thinking about that stuff, again, I just encourage you please to join workamper.com, check it out. Our job finding tools, our job listings, you'll find more there than anywhere. And just a connection to us. Myself and my team, we are happy to help you guys. We're just a phone call or an email away. We're here to help, and that's really what we're passionate and excited about. Okay, all right, cool. We did have a question here. How about health insurance? I guess the question is there health insurance for RVers? Yes. Let's go back over to our browser here. Nomad Insurance Group. I think it's either .com or .org. Here we go, .com. Nomadinsurancegroup.com is what I would recommend if you are seeking health insurance on the road. Maybe you're a full-time RVer looking for a new plan. Kyle is very familiar with all of the different types of plans that are out there. He's also developed a healthcare cost sharing program for RVers called Healthy Nomads. So definitely peruse this website, lots of information on here, and get connected with Kyle for a consultation. You know, everybody has different needs as far as, you know, health and insurance goes. So there's not really a, you know, all RVers should have XYZ plan. It's really going to vary on your budget and your needs and your wants and things like that. So luckily, Kyle, he's an RVer himself and has been, you know, helping RVers find the right insurance for them for many, many years. He's a really, really nice guy. So he's put together some good resources here. So I would definitely encourage you guys to check in with nomadinsurancegroup.com and look into that. All right. Last call for questions, guys. But I think we've covered quite a bit here today. You know, definitely visit the Workamper News YouTube channel. You can check out, you know, more videos there. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys about the podcast. I told you I was going to show you that, and I totally spaced. Okay. So our podcast is called the Workamper Show. So if you listen to podcasts in, you know, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, etc., Spotify, whatever. We're on all the major streaming services. So just open up your podcast app, search for Workamper Show, and subscribe to us. Or you can go to workampershow.com. That's our website. We have all of our podcast episodes on our website. We've been doing this for multiple years now. We're very consistent with it. We are on episode 240. And we do interviews with Workampers who are living the lifestyle, employers who are offering jobs, and just kind of other experts having to do with the RV and work camping lifestyle. So lots of great input here. If you guys want to hear the stories of other people who are, you know, living this lifestyle, definitely dig in and listen to some different interviews on here. Like here's an interview we did with the tax queen, Heather Ryan, talking about common tax issues for work campers. You know, there's many solo RVers who have done podcast episodes. There's also families who have done podcast episodes. So those of you who are looking for to hear from other families who are work camping on the road, there are episodes for that. And there's a search box up in the top right of the website, so you can do some keyword searches to try to find maybe some specific interviews that you'd be more interested in listening to than others. But yeah, lots of great podcasts. They're typically anywhere 30 minutes to an hour, not crazy long or anything. So, and there is a good one. If we come in here and we search for episode 200, this was a good one that Luke and I did. We literally just kind of made a list of 200 work camping jobs that we could think of, and kind of just go through that big list. We don't talk about every single one, but that episode kind of opens your mind a little bit as to the different types of opportunities that are out there. Like I mentioned before, we don't, you know, it's not just working in a campground or RV park. A lot of the jobs are, but it doesn't just have to be that. So, you know, this podcast episode can spark your ideas of more things that are out there for you guys to do. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you all for listening in. Very cool. Oh, and I should mention too, you know, you guys are welcome to interview for the podcast as well. If you are an RVer yourself or are offering a service or doing something with RVers, you can come onto our podcast website here, workampershow.com. And if you're a work camper, you can schedule to be interviewed for an episode of our podcast. If you're an employer, you can also schedule to be interviewed for our podcast. So, you know, we'd love to have you guys share. That's, you know, the beauty of the lifestyle, and one of those intangible benefits of the lifestyle is the relationships that you're going to build. That's really just kind of one of the best parts of it. And so it's always great to hear other stories, and we learn so much from each other as well. So definitely dive into resources like our podcast and, you know, networking with fellow work campers around you. We also have a member map on our website, workamper.com. You can look at pins on the map and search a specific location to see if there are any fellow work campers around you, or you can search on a location that you're wanting to go to and contact any work campers that are in that area to try to, you know, strike up some conversations to get some boots on the ground information, about that area or maybe a specific employer or whatever. So the member map is out there to connect you with the community as well. So lots of good resources. I know we covered a lot today. Again, feel free to contact us here at Workamper News. You'll find our contact information on the website. You can email us anytime, support@workamper.com, or call us 800-446-5627. Anyway, we're happy to help. So thank you guys so much for listening in. Very much appreciate your time and interest in this lifestyle. And we hope that you have many safe travels in your future, and happy work camping.